Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bearded Senpai podcast. I am Miasma, and today I want to talk about sports anime. Uh, I am a former athlete. I did sports for like most of my life, I would say. Grew up like every other kid playing. I played soccer, did a little bit of baseball, did as I got older, I got into football when I was in high school. Played 3 years of football, and also found my love of track and field, which turned out to be the sport I was best at in my athletic career. I did like the hammer throw, the shot put, the discus, all that jazz. But really, another like niche thing I guess that I'm into, because even like sporty people like generally don't do track. They tend to do football, basketball, like solely like those things. So it's like track is usually looked at like as an extra sport in the eyes of most like sporty hardo kind of kids. And for me, it was like my main thing, just because I enjoy competition and winning, and it was what I was best at. Like, I was not that good of a football player to make my team necessarily win, whereas I was a very good thrower, so I could, win track meets. But I've always had this disconnect with sports anime. Anytime I've ever like really tried to get into one, which isn't very often, but I'll give you a few instances. The most recent being, and this does, I guess, qualify as a sports anime, but I tried and dropped Fastest Finger First, or Nana Maru Sanbatsu, I believe. This is an anime that aired like last season, so like winter 2016, or the end of 2016, whatever. 2017, Jesus, man, where am I today? The end of 2017, and it's basically a very simple story about this nerdy kid in his high school, and he wants to do Quiz Bowl. And Quiz Bowl is like this, as schools match wits kind of thing, is what we would call it, kind of near me, where you get like schools that have teams of people that are really smart, and they answer trivia questions, Jeopardy style, based upon how fast they could press a buzzer and think of the answer to the question. And I thought that would be interesting, because I generally like random trivia and stuff like that, and I'm very intrigued in sort of like niche sports and niche like activities. I have a growing love for esports, especially since Overwatch League kicked off. But so I decided I would check it out. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it. And I watched one episode and that was alright, and then I made it through like halfway of episode 2, and then I was just done, because it's one of those shows where you can just like see where it's gonna go way ahead of like the path. You just yep, he's gonna probably end up with that girl, and she's gonna fall in love with him, and she's gonna have some kind of weird checkered past that we're gonna find out about, and this guy's gonna be super competitive. This guy's gonna pretend to be friendly, but he isn't really friendly. These guys are gonna be rivals, and it's just like, I feel like it's like lather, rinse, repeat with that kind of thing. Sports anime in general, I feel this. It feels weird coming from an athletic background, because like part of the beauty for me of being an athlete and playing sports was that it was quite unpredictable. It was like no two football games are really the same. I mean, obviously, like in format, but like in terms of like play by play, like games are definitely one game is definitely different from the other. You could have 25-point comebacks. You could have somebody getting like routed like 50-0 or something like that. You could have fights break out in hockey, and you can have arenas fighting each other in like soccer and stuff, I guess, but that doesn't happen as often anymore. I don't think. I don't think so. But any sports anime I've ever really tried has seemed very predictable, and sort of follows like a weird like formula that I think like even like shonen shows kind of follow, where you have like some kind of MC who's either a cutesy girl or a small nerdy kind of high school or middle school age boy who are like unnaturally good at like, or I'm sorry, are naturally good at this activity that they haven't really done before, or they're just like a newcomer and they just happen to really show like talent. One that I had watched in the past was Eyeshield 21, and the thing about Eyeshield, I haven't finished it yet. I did like a 25 episode like analysis of it, and I haven't completely dropped it yet, but I'll go back to it someday. But I kind of liked Eyeshield just because it was about American football, and having played that for years and being a fan of watching American football, I thought it was most interesting to see an anime about the sport. But that's all it really is it's just like its interest in how Japan views an American-made sport. Like, as a show, it's not that great. Like, it's the story's not that deep or memorable, and the characters vary. Some of them are really cool, some of them I don't really want to see on the screen that much. And it's got like the typical tiny kid protagonist who is remarkably fast for like no reason, and he's just naturally really good at football even though he doesn't even like it. And it's kind of weird how, I mean, the funniest part of the show is they try to like, from the commercial breaks, they do this thing where it's like, instead of like who's that Pokemon, and then like you would show like the Pokemon image. When Eyeshield 21 came back from breaks, they would like have like football trivia. Like before the commercials, like when a commercial was about to go, it would say like a character would come on the screen and asks like, how many yards is it to a first down? And then they'd come back and they'd be like, obviously, like, there's 10 yards to a first down. Like, if you're an American sports fan, really, at all, or, like, I feel like most of America would know that it takes 10 yards, even if you're, like, 4 years old. So, it was kind of interesting and funny to, like, see something like that, but, conversely, I mean, if I ever, like, tried to make a show about, like, shogi or something that I know, like, next to nothing about, I'm sure I would sound kind of dumb, too, but, yeah, Eyeshield 21, it's kind of funny at times. I mean, the football in it is like, wicked unrealistic, and it's kind of zany, and I wish it was a little more, like, serious, but, then again, maybe it does change down the line. I mean, it is like 100 and something episodes long, which is another thing. Sports anime are really, really long, and I kind of just don't have the time for them a lot of the time. I don't know. I know there is a show, Keijo, which I guess technically is like a sports anime. I never even bothered to check that out, but, I mean, it seemed kind of funny, just girls like fighting each other with their asses. But at least it was short, I guess. Like, it wasn't like this. I'm surprised that one's not like, I guess it's because the manga ended, but I'm surprised that show didn't go on for like 100 episodes. Because it just so seems like a formula that could just go on and on and on. And people would just like keep buying it. The only, I think, if I had to think of like a sports anime that I've seen that I had like the most enjoyment out of, it's probably IGPX. The Immortal Grand Prix, and this is only like, I guess it's like half of a sports anime, because it's, I mean, it is about a sport. It's about like a future where mechs exist and people race on them on this like giant fucking racetrack, like enormous, because the mechs themselves are quite large, and so they built these like huge tracks. And basically, you have like teams of 3 mechs on each team, and there's like offense, defense, and like mid, I guess. I don't remember. They don't really like just. I've seen the show twice, and they really don't like explain like the rules of the sport that well, because it's more so about like, look at these mechs fight each other. Isn't that cool? Aren't they going fast? So at times it's kind of just like brainless entertainment, which I mean, I could have an appreciation for. But the episodes where it focuses kind of on stuff like off the track were really cool because you got like this like team of 3 mech pilots, all with very different personalities, and they're trying to sort of sync up together and work well as a team. And they literally go from like sort of like the bottom up, like as a team, and they have to like really work toward a goal together, even though they're very different people. And I enjoyed that. It reminded me a little bit of Neon Genesis Evangelion, like when Shinji and Asuka are trying to like sync up better to, be better at fighting the fucking angels and shit. But IGPX, well, it's not probably the most like memorable thing in the world. I think that more people should check it out. I think it's pretty underrated. And it was like partially, I believe, like a Toonami production. I think I remember that I think they worked on like the 2nd season or something. I don't really remember, but it was kind of cool because it was like Toonami was really pushing the show, and I wish more people talked about it. But yeah, it was all right. But like in general, I feel like I've never seen Haikyuu, I've never seen Free or Kuroko's Basketball, which I guess is kind of weird to be talking about sports anime in a podcast where I haven't seen like the big sports anime, or even like Captain, I think it's Captain Tsubasa, or anything like that. But they're off-putting because of how long they are. Like IGPX is only, I think, like 26 episodes, and it's a complete story, and like it has plenty of the sport within its 26 episodes. Like that's a fine amount. Like it's like the perfect length for that kind of show. And I feel like a lot of sports anime just seem like they're dragged out, and I don't really know why. Like I don't get, like why are there so many episodes of Haikyuu? I guess because of like Haikyuu, because if I'm gonna guess and assume that they're like in high school playing volleyball, so maybe it's like their 4 seasons of high school, or 5 or whatever they have in Japan, which is kind of interesting, but at some point it's gonna feel like repetitive, I guess. And I mean, I guess the argument could be made like, well, Miasma, they, play against different kinds of teams that use different kinds of moves and stuff like that. And honestly, the moves kind of take it away from me too. I've heard that in Kuroko's Basketball, they have like these like power step slam attacks and stuff, and like, no, that's not how like basketball works. Like, I mean, it's kind of funny that they do that, I guess, but I just hard for me to take it seriously at that point. Like it takes away from like what's like a cool sport, and I feel like if you're going to make an anime about a certain sport, it should be to like expose what's interesting and what's cool about it. I think Eyeshield like partially did that, but then it also had a whole lot of like zaniness going on. My guess is probably because the author might not have like thought of like not a lot of people in Japan probably know about football, American football. And so I feel like if he did just a straight bare bones football manga, it probably might not have sold as much as something that's like super zany. But I don't know. I feel like I would like to see an ice hockey anime, because that's my favorite sport to watch, and we've never had one. I mean, we had Yuri on Ice. That's like the only, I guess that's the closest thing. But and I haven't seen that either. I guess I'm just not into figure skating. I have to be like sort of into the sport, I guess, to actually like try and watch it. Figure skating is just not there. But I don't know. I want like a sports anime. I want like an ice hockey anime that treats the sport with like some respect. You can have a little bit of comedy and stuff in there, but like have some characters that I care about that aren't like super annoying, and have like some backstory and some like character development, as well as like fast-paced like sporty action. Like I feel like that would be very entertaining, and keep it like under like 50 episodes. I don't know, but I guess that's what I envision out of like a good sports anime. I feel like you could do that. I mean, a track anime would be really cool too. I know Suzuka exists, but that seems more of like a romancy kind of anime than really like about the sport itself. The parts in Devilman Crybaby where like they were doing like track and field were kind of cool, especially like the character arcs of like one of the girls being very jealous of the skills and the popularity of her teammate. And I think that could be like a central theme of like a strong series. But yeah, give me some hockey anime. Somebody. They play hockey in Japan a little bit. I know they got like a league. I looked it up. I looked it up one time. They actually have their own hockey league and stuff. There's a Japan national team. Give me an anime about a Japanese kid dreaming to make a professional hockey team someday. That would be cool because it'd be like he'd have a really like long shot battle at it for like a lot of his life because it's like I think like 2 Japanese people, maybe 1, have ever played in the NHL. And you probably couldn't say NHL in the show, but like just say like professional hockey in Canada or America. Have it be like a true underdog story. And don't make it about just this like shrimpy kid who, you know, is a nerd and just like he's like, "Oh, I'm going to do this sport because this attractive girl like will look at me if I do it." As in like fastest finger first. Like the kid's really smart in that show, and he's good at trivia, and he should be on the Quiz Bowl team, but he's pretty much doing it because he wants to get the attention of this chick who is really into it. And I want like the motivation to be a little deeper than that, if possible. But yeah, give me a nice hockey anime with some motivation, some strong characters, give me some decent animation, and keep it relatively short. Some anime studio, do that please, and I guess I'll be a happy boy. But let me know. What do you guys think about sports anime? Do we need more? Do we need less? Do you care at all? I feel like it's probably kind of a niche anime genre. It seems like the people that like it really like it, and then there's people that are just not interested at all. And yeah, as always, guys, let me know if you have any topics for me to discuss. You follow me on Twitter at Gyre Media, link in the description, and you can always comment down below as well. And as always, this is the Bearded Senpai Miasma signing out.